So we're in growth. It's a digital agency here in New York. We work with a variety of clients, from WordPress to Magento to Wix to you name it. Generally, we focus a lot on content and SEO, and we find that some of the elements can be quite. What is the objective of SEO when it comes to product? Obviously, get more sales, get more traction. So, what type of beast is it? What is objective for you? And I'm going to be doing some interactive stuff. I like to get some feedback, your thoughts. So, who here does products by the show of hands? How many people have our e-commerce sites? Vast majority, excellent. And what is SEO to you? So just like when you approach products, do you try to optimize it for search engines? Do you try just kind of put descriptions? What's your objective? Just feel free to say, share. What's your objective when you are doing products? Do you think about SEO at all? Yeah, so you do that, yeah. That's good. A lot of people just, depending on how many products you have. So we will speak today about, you could have a lot of products or a few products, but ultimately it comes down to the right overall objective when it comes to strategy. So don't just, generally don't pray and spray approach. It doesn't work too well. Especially because if you have a lot of products, if you don't have the right content and SEO strategy, you're going to have a lot of problems down the line because each of the assets will not be performing to your level. So the way I would like you to think about it is think of product SEO as your digital salesperson. So it's something that once it sets up, you set it up and it works, you just get leads and sales at no cost. And you have to put in strategy and thought into it, but once it's set up, you don't have to think about it. And it's very difficult to go and undo it. So if you think, okay, let's create 1,000 products. It's very hard to actually go back and change product by product. And how many people here has done that actually? So they created a bunch of products, yes. And how was that? Painful, yeah. It's extremely painful because if you approached it more of approach where, okay, we just need to describe the product and that's it, we're done. You do 1,000 products and then you go, okay, you know what? We completely did not include SEO into it. You go and add SEO, but then you go back, a month later, a year later, and go, okay, but we actually didn't do anything for conversion. And what today we'll cover is why conversion and SEO they have to coexist together, but usually they don't. So a lot of people either try to create products that is not really user-friendly descriptions, but they might be good for SEO. And objective and takeaway from today's session will be to make it almost, imagine when you're in supermarket and you see products all around you. So, but obviously the best shelves are around your eyesight. And if you approach it in a way, if you look it through the eyes of the Google, it's very similar. Google wants to service relevant content to their users. So the more relevant it is, the higher they'll put it up. So it's very much your digital supermarket. It's where for each product you can either rank well or not well. And a lot of it will depend on how well you set it up initially. And one of the best ways to do strategy and SEO is really wow your customer, meaning think about your descriptions, think about your digital strategy, think about what will be the steps that will allow you to maximize your shop, maximize your products. And I'll ask you a few questions right now. How many people here have products store with more than 100 products? more than 1,000 products, more than 10,000 products, more than 50,000 products. So majority is around between 10 and under, and few in between. And what difficulties you run into when it comes down to description and SEO? The what? Duplication. So, and how do you battle it? Don't use the same words. Okay. And what products do you carry?
We manufacture B2B buildings for construction companies and individuals from the farming industry.
So like construction and farming industry products.
Shelters,
And you have between 10 and 50,000 products in that range? 25,000 products, okay. And so the application was a big problem. Yeah. Yeah. You can actually use it, yeah.
I didn't expect this.
Spotlight, please.
What have I done? Okay.
Now, this is a very interactive session because if you have your own products, and those products have to be described in a certain way, and every single person here are likely to have very different products. But you will see that there is a commonality to it. And as we go into session further, you will see that there is a way to do it, but if you have to do it pretty early on, or when you're creating the product. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So we have group products that maybe have like a specific type of product that is a garage building. So in Magento, it's like this customizable building. So all the SKUs are associated with this single product type. And Google reads it every different combination, right? If it's a 10 by 20 by 25 foot building, it's the same product description as the 10 by 20 by 15 or whatever.
Yes.
So that is always going to be a problem. So what we try to do is rewrite content for the buildings to be different enough that you're not going to have the duplication issue. But for a customizable building, it's really not something we have a solution for.
Yeah, and you will see that for some products you can have a stronger, either easier solution for some. Some will not be as straightforward, but yeah, sometimes you'll have an item that is just different sizes for 20, 30, 40 items. Oops, sorry about that. I won't take that. And when I say wow your customer, I don't mean just necessarily that it will apply for every field, but stand out is a very good way to think about it. So meaning, even if you have material, like let's say, there's different categories. So when you have that building with different categories, you can apply different mindsets. So rather than thinking, okay, we have 50 items as categories, so you're going to have 50 duplicated pages, it's more comes down to mindset. So training your writers to actually, so that is the biggest issue we see. In content, it is very easy to just hire a writer and be like, okay, write 50 descriptions or 100 descriptions, 1,000 descriptions. And they're not trained to write descriptions. Nobody ever shown them how to properly create products, descriptions, how to think about it from sales perspective. Even if you tell, and if no one have really trained you, unless you have like specific team who does it, and from our experience, very few teams, like companies that do it. What will happen is, let's say you go and you hire a writer. What are you going to do? Let's say, what would you do if you had to go and hire a writer for production?
I would make sure that my copywriter has at least some experience. At the end of the day, you're not really looking for an SEO talent when you hire a copywriter. You just want to make sure they have, the brand voice, the proper communication skills.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a challenge.
I trained for SEO optimization. We just hired
For your copywriter?
absolutely.
But I feel like it's a little different when you're doing, it's different with
Well,
it's very like,
well, the beauty of it is that Yeah, very good point. So if you don't train your copywriters for SEO optimization, you're definitely losing a lot of potential. So that it's, just because if you don't train them, you hire somebody, they get your brand voice, but they don't actually never think of in terms of SEO. The more products you have, the bigger problem you'll have. So generally, it's a good rule of thumb to anybody who's going to be writing your content and products to definitely be able to have an understanding of what they need to do. And there is another problem. Generally, it's also actually hard to train them for SEO and make it engaging, especially luxury. Luxury items definitely about emotion, about how you make your customer feel. Whereas some items you'll have, tens of thousands of items, and there is a repetition of every item, every 100 items might sound the same. Whereas in luxury, it's almost opposite. All right, so we got some samples, and let me make sure I'm on time. Lack of unique voice. So that's, to give you an idea, start thinking of content a little different than you used to. It's not just writing or words or SEO. And I'll help you to kind of get into that mindset, because it's really training your mind to think in a different way. So here we have super value makeup set. What do you guys, when you look at it, what kind of emotion you get? It's what? Cheap, good. What else? Who are they trying to cater to? Halloween, families, but the costumes definitely seem more Halloweenish, but the name is super value makeup set. It's kind of a little broad. So they're trying to appeal to everybody. And if you look at the description, it's great for Halloween, party time, playtime, or anytime. Really? Anytime? One day you go like, oh my God, you know what's time right now? It's super value makeup time set. That is the best time right now. But guess what? They're just trying to appeal to everybody. And that's big issue we find. Don't try to appeal to everybody. So even when you're training to somebody to write your products, make sure you have a unique voice. And by the way, when I say unique voice, how many of you have sat down and spent, a couple of days not just creating your brand, but creating your voice over brand? Voice over brand meaning emails, content, every communication comes out from you is of that unique value. And then you train your writers. So how many people here? So we have handfuls there, right? Good, good. So once again, it should be a lot more, because you're all in e-commerce. So you don't, the biggest issue we find with content, if you hire writers, every writer going to write in their own way. And if you have a lot of products, every writer going to write in their own way, and they're also going to write about different products. So all of a sudden you have the whole mix of opinions and voices and writing that very hard to change. So it's much better to do it from the get-go, or let's say this right now, what I would suggest is if you haven't done so, or maybe you skipped a couple of steps, make sure to kind of reset. So you go back and sit down with your team and figure out, okay, have we been communicating properly? Have we had the right choice? All right, so, but here's, we're going to do a different example. Let's make this fun. How can we make this fun? So you see, I gave you an example why it's bad. You see, that's easy. But now we're going to make it fun. How would you take this ad and make it unique and still SEO relevant and still content interesting? Anybody want to give it a shot? Yes? Costumes. So. Yeah, vampire or skeleton. It could be, absolutely, it could be make your perfect costume. Remember, let's say that was from Amazon. They can create two different products. It could be the same product, but one product will be more for general description, and one will be for Halloween. You don't have to cram everything in one product, especially when you have something as specific as this. It could be, make sure you be the best zombie at this party, right? Something that is very emotional, very relevant, versus party anytime. Any time is your party time. So once again, it's a big part is not just making sure you have something unique. And here is an example. Gravity mud, firming treatment, more mud, same price. And they have very, it's not super creative. It doesn't have to be. A lot of items you have is not going to be super exciting, right? You're not able to write about construction materials as it's a party every day. But you have to still take into consideration who it's written for. It's written with emotion. So in this case, it's an out-of-the-world innovation, peel-off mud treatment that instantly leaves skin feeling firmer and more lifted. It talks about benefit. It talks about what they're doing, mega targeted ingredients, using some sort of, their own custom solutions. Delivering tone, sexy contours, which I'm assuming is a good thing. And they have trademarks. That type of stuff they definitely have the voice. We can argue about the description, but in terms of the voice, they have that something, right? Everybody see the difference between first product, second product. Much clearer. You could still improve this one too, but in terms of the voice, they're really sticking to it. This is a mistake that is basic, but especially if you have a lot of items, it's very easy to miss. Which means you have a lot of parameters, and you don't put an extra description. In fact, we worked with a project. It was a very big fashion brand, and in a niche industry. So it's a big group, niche industry, and they had a huge problem because they had this type of descriptions, and they didn't have any relevant information to the buyer. So the buyer who comes here, to them it was immediately, they didn't get what they're buying. They're just, what are they buying? It's jeans that cost 420 pounds. That's expensive jeans, but you don't really add any emotion or feel to it. So generally, keeping in mind when you create content that there has to be emotion and connection in some way. Even if it's a boring project, if it's a boring item, if it's a piece of a building or equipment, you still have to try to bring in more of an engaging tone and train your writers to do so. So here's an example: tell a product story with your brand's voice, especially if you have something that is somewhat unique or unusual. It's very easy to make it really cool. This is one of the products on Fab. What do you notice here, let's say, about this description that, interesting, unusual, or your take on it? What are they trying to convey, this description?
It's a little family company. They're close to the actual manufacturer that created.
Yeah, they're small. They notice how they use the colors in description. There's red, there's black. That actually very effective to stand out. So, for example, if you have, even if this works for almost any item. So it means even if it's an item that is building construction materials, you can still outline a sentence in that description and bold it, and the eyes automatically will go there. So maybe you train your writer to understand what is the most important part in this description, and then bold it. And this actually allows to break up the text, make it easier to read. And if you have an item like this where you have, great gift for newlyweds, they've been telling you, and newlywed, perfect, or for you and your sweetheart, so it's a little more general. Hooray! Wake up and smell the romance, they ended with kind of this nice, good feel. And generally, if you have products like this, how many people have here products that are more on emotional, kind of, not necessarily like this, but more emotional? How many? By a show of hands? Good amount, okay. And how many people here have very dry things? Or sandpaper, right? So about half and half. So like I said, you can apply it for both. Just if it's a dry product, use fonts, use colors to stand out. You'll be very surprised that can increase your conversion significantly because you're able to deliver the story or summarize it in a very quick way. So even if it's a product that is not exciting, and somebody just looking for a solution, give them that solution in one sentence. That if you can give them, okay, I'm looking for this. This was the most important part. The questions will be shortly, but yeah. So here was you use SEO and converting titles. That's kind of fusing the content, the psychology of what we just talked about, and SEO. Generally, if you have a really boring title, you might rank well, but it might not be catchy. So objective is to create titles that are catchy and also convert well. So meaning they're friendly for SEO. So out of this 5, what would catch your attention better? So and what would you click on? Yeah. Hydro, okay. The world's first eco-friendly smart shower. Jesus. He can talk to you too. Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, you tell us what stands out to you. So right now we're just going over different. So you have a rating. You see, that's an element that nobody else have. So that's definitely a separate element that allows to stand out. So, so you like the second one? Yeah. And it has rating, yeah. And anybody else? So we have so far number 2, number 5. Anything else? All right, so those are the 2 that the top. All right, so I would say test it for what works for your business. Generally, it's a good idea to see if for your type of content works the titles that stand out. We find that actually for some companies, standout titles work better. Like for example, Hydro, the world's first eco-friendly smart shower. It will definitely get clicks and probably much more than number 5 it suggests. Because people, especially if you're doing it on desktop, they will scan the page and they have also really short domain, the shorter domain, it's good for catching the eye. People know and trust it. So descriptive, don't do duplicate content. Once again, be very careful about titles. That's a very easy thing to avoid. But if it's, let's say, Pfizer eco-friendly 2 spray shower head, don't do Pfizer eco-friendly 1 spray shower head. So it's 2 different items, but the description should be quite a bit different. So unique is the name of the game as a first step. The next step would be making sure that if your product can be catchy, make it catchy. So like in this case, Hydro, the world's first eco-friendly smart shower, is actually really good. And once again, the ratings system, Google does, I would say look up for Magento, but there's ways for a lot of products where you can actually show your ratings. I'm not sure if it's doable on Magento. I know you can do it on WordPress. You have to double check if it can show up. All right. So this is an example of a product that requires a catchy title, T-shirts. You know, it's not that super exciting generally, and also it's friendly for developers. For attention span not found. Here, their focus is not necessarily on SEO. This is more of a catchy title. If they want to make it more SEO friendly, how do you, let's put out to the audience, how would you make it more SEO friendly if you wanted to? Developer t-shirt. Perfect. Because yeah, 404 is a popular thing, and actually, you've probably seen some T-shirts with that. So 4 would develop a T-shirt, and then you would do attention span not found. You can actually would likely be able to fit it into the title tag. So maximize the usage of your title tag. Know exactly how many, when you hit writers writing title tags, they should know what is your title tag. How many times we have seen where title tags were either too long or too short. Do you have guidelines for your title tag? How many people here have guidelines for title tag? Not too many, right? Okay, one person, perfect. Yeah, you should have guidelines for title tag, for your content, for your meta description, for your, I would even do, if I were you, whenever you onboard a writer, create either a video. You don't have to do it on yourself. You can actually create steps, like short videos, and just send them to that library and tell them to watch the 10 videos on how to create title tags, how to do something. And then, especially if you're doing outsourcing, how many people here outsource versus in-house create? In-house writing? Okay, quite a bit. And outsource? Okay, some outsourcing. Yeah, generally make sure your in-house content in-house writer is trained. It's much easier to do the quality control, and also if they're in-house, it's easier to change even if they're already writing for you, because you can sit down with them and tell them, hey, here's how I want you to do it. Let's change our strategy. If you're outsourcing, if you have a freelancer, that's where they much easier to have problem, because if they've been writing for you for a while, it's actually harder to train them to write the proper way. So create a system for and guidelines for every step of your product. Approach it as a system. For boring, dry, and inspired, your customer will sleep. It works only for very few products and generally not well. Therefore, even if it's a dry product, if there is at least some sort of levity to it, a lightness, it can make customer go and read something and say, like, oh, wow, that's kind of funny or kind of interesting. So even if it's a boring product, I suggest see how can you add some levity to it. See? The other big part is encourage your customer to continue reading. So if you have a description, so SEO guideline is generally longer description is better for SEO. If it's unique and it's longer, it's better. The problem with that is somebody might get tired of reading. Right? So that's why it's important to have, it's hard to create consistently good content. And that's why you have to, when you approach content, you have to create guidelines for example, how to create better reading materials. Make sure it's not one block of text or two large blocks of text. Use every few sentences, break it into more spaces. So it will allow you, a reader, to create it. Use boldness, use bullet points. For example, if you have a product, let's say, give me a product, somebody give me, boring product, preferably. The what? Clear bag, all right. Clear bag, and right, here's what I would do with clear bag. It's very, I think, in my opinion, clear bag is such a neutral topic, whereas you can actually spark the ideas. You can say clear bags and then bullet points for wedding parties, for cakes, for what could be gifts. So you start putting things and create in their minds what they can use it. 7 uses to do, cool ways to use clear bags. Yeah. Well, clear bags is very general, whereas makeup is pretty specific. So clear bags, if I say clear bags, what comes to your mind? Nothing. So you need to create hooks. Whereas the opposite, if you have a makeup and they have a Halloween on it, Halloween comes to your mind. So it's really more about, once again, that's what I mean. For different content, different products, there will be a different approach. And once again, if you have like hundreds of clear bags, you have to be very careful with that too. So you probably have themes, like what's your current approach on content for products?
We have a template that we follow. We have our own in-house writer because we actually hired an outside writer, and we had the exact problem you described.
Exactly, yeah.
I didn't understand. It is such a generic product, but when you have to write, if you say hundreds, we have thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Clear packaging things. So we were running into that problem of duplicate content, boring and lame descriptions. So we found that the in-house person actually was a lot better for us because they learned the nuances, and it was in the nuances
Yeah. You still got to spark their imagination at some point. Generally, the broader the product is, the more you can lead them on their own journeys, right, in their mind. You can say, clear bags for, like, what is the most common uses of clear bags that you guys find? Like give me a 5.
Packaging artwork, packaging different foods, for wedding favors, clothing, electronics, we see them all over.
Yeah. So, and the beauty part is you could be, artworks, and then you can actually give specific artworks. So, one, like if it's a large clear bag, you could potentially say, use it for the artwork and for oil paintings, for, charcoal paintings, for whatever not. And that creates an SEO value. So being able to, especially if you have thousands of products, it's doable. Interesting, entertaining, educational, preferably all 3. Not all the products be able to hit it. That's why it's kind of broad session. But if you can make it, if it's very dry, educational is fine. But generally, we suggest finding some levity, especially if it's a very dry product, finding ways to, like let's say sandpaper. In terms of content, it will be really hard to make it, playful, because they're looking probably for very specific usage for it. But potentially you could create a video, which is, about some funny video about using sandpaper, and then you can post it on your products. So that could be about how, funny ways to use sandpaper or something like that, which in a way indirectly will keep them on screen and engage them and also give them a different emotional approach to your brand, which is really a big part. It's SEO, and it's also really how they interact with your brand. Memorable, yeah, that would be memorable. All right. So I'll summarize kind of what, and I'll done in like a minute. Brand building, increase sales, create process. Once again, you guys been through this. If you haven't been through this, I would definitely say systematize your content SEO. If you're not sure how to improve your content SEO, talk to a specialist. Generally, the good approach is to, especially if you've been doing this for a long time, it might be hard to get the other perspective. Therefore, what we found is everyone thinks they're good in content. Because if we went to college, your English is probably pretty good. But marketing content has a different approach. It's approach to engage and sell, and that's where we find consistently people overvaluating their ability to really tell what is good content. Therefore, we suggest either do your own research and figure out actually if you're doing a good job, do a review of your product, and if not, bring in somebody who can give you kind of external perspective on marketing and sales. Increase sale, that will increase your sales, increase engagement. So create process, and it'll be much easier to get both SEO and engagement. And that's me, negrow.com. And we'll be moving to the next speaker, so I don't want to be hugging it too hard. So if you have any questions, we've done a number of projects on content and yeah. All right, next speaker. And I'll give you guys, thank you.